I did read the report in this case, so I'm interested to know how things are going.
They're going great, actually.
It sounds like it, and that's kind of amazing.
Did you receive the CASA report?
No, I did not. And in fact, I had to get Shara to send me the workers report because it was just, I got it just through e-filing and I wouldn't let me open the document.
All right, Judge, I'm gonna send that to you right now.
Okay, thank you. Judge Falkenberg's name is up there on the screen. He's actually facilitating this meeting today since Shara is out of town. So he's not really appearing today. He's just helping with the technology.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Good morning, sir.
This is a permanency review after final order hearing from out of Bandera County. Visiting Judge Morris hearing the case today for Judge Falkenberg. And let's go ahead and have announcements. We'll start with Ms. Kyler Green.
Yes, Your Honor, good morning. Emily Kyler Green, attorney for the department.
Katarina Lewis, belong permanency specialist.
Ashley Crouch, belong permanency supervisor.
Marcus
Irina Costa,
CASA supervisor.
Irina Costa, attorney for the child.
Mr. Weatherby, are you there? I see his name, but I'm not, it shows that he's on mute. So if you can hear me, Mr. Weatherby, you need to unmute yourself.
And Judge, I see that our volunteer, Vicki Pond, is here, but she has not yet announced.
All right, Ms. Pond, you're on mute also. Can you state your name, please? Unmute yourself and state your name if you can hear me.
Yes, I'm sorry. Vicki Pond, Hill Country CASA guardian ad litem for Cody.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Pond. See, we're still waiting on Mr. Weatherby.
I prompted him to unmute, Your Honor, but he didn't, so I'm not sure if he's there.
I can also shoot him a text, Your Honor.
Okay.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I just heard back from Mr. Weatherby. He says that he can see and hear everyone, but he cannot unmute or open his video.
Okay. All right. So we'll just take your word for that and go ahead and proceed. And I guess he can chat or something if he has something he wishes to share. So as I said, I read the report on Cody. I've had this case for quite a while. It sounds like we have a promising placement. So who's going to testify about that? Is that you, Miss Lewis?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And do you want to call her Miss Kyler Green, or do we want to just let her go ahead and talk?
We can, I think she probably knows what to do, but if there's any prompting questions, I can ask those, Your Honor.
Okay. Why don't you start by telling me where Cody is placed and when that placement happened?
Yes, Cody is placed currently in Temple, Texas in a fictive kinship home, and that happened on December 5th of 2023.
Now, was this the former foster parent that we discussed at the last hearing? Do you know? It seems like my notes from the last hearing indicate that there was a former foster parent or former placement worker or somebody that knew Cody that was being considered for placement.
Yes, so she worked actually at Cedar Crest where Cody was placed for almost about a year. So yes, she
Okay.
did there and has that experience.
Okay. So that's the fictive kin aspect of it.
Yes.
Okay. So tell me how that placement is going then.
It's going very well, actually. We had a circle of support on Wednesday night for Cody, and all of us are just blown away by the good steps that he is making right now. He enjoys being at that home. He's going to school. He's proud of himself. He hasn't had any incidents, and we're just really proud of him.
What about contact with his mother? Is there any contact with his mother?
They are contacting each other through social media. Last I heard during Christmas, there were not very nice words exchanged between Cody and the mother. And that is a concern because I know it affects Cody in a negative way.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll let you ask any questions if you have any, Ms. Kyler Green, and then we'll let other people ask questions too of Ms. Lewis.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Lewis, are Cody's medical, dental, and vision updates good to go?
Yes, and we are also working on getting him in an orthodontist so he can get braces.
Okay. Has he begun the beginning stages of that?
We are in the process of getting a orthodontist, so not yet in the area.
Okay. Is he receiving any psychotropics?
As of right now, he is actually not receiving psychotropics. He has an appointment today to get back on his medications. And we discussed that in the circle of support, and he's actually doing well without being on his medications. And his goal by 18 is to be off medication. So that's something he wants to talk to his doctor about also.
So the appointment that he's going to have today, is that to determine whether or not he's going to get back on, or it's definitive that he will?
I believe he will get back on, but it is a medication review just to discuss that.
Okay, got it. What sort of services is he receiving?
He is receiving, right now he's not in therapy. He has kind of expressed not wanting to be in therapy, but definitely the medication reviews he will be receiving. He's getting his schooling, and his medical and dental are being met.
Is it therapy recommended?
Most likely, yes.
Okay. And so is that something that you can follow up with just to see if, as time goes on in this placement, if he needs it, he'll get it?
Absolutely.
Okay. What's the permanency goal right now?
Fictive kin adoption?
Okay. And right now, both parents still have their parental rights?
Yes.
Okay. And to your knowledge, has the father executed a voluntary relinquishment years
Yes.
before?
Yes.
Sorry, I didn't hear your answer.
Sorry, yes.
Okay. And do you have any points of contact for the mother?
I believe I have a phone number and I have an old address that I've attempted to make contact with her at.
When did you make those attempts?
Back in December, right after Christmas.
Okay. And were you able to make contact?
No.
Okay. Can you continue to attempt to make contact for purposes of a potential mediation?
Absolutely.
Okay. And would it be in Cody's best interest for the parental rights to be terminated
Yes.
eventually?
Yes.
Okay. And why?
Cody has expressed that he wants to be adopted, and I believe that's in his best interest.
Okay. Is there anything that you're requesting of the court make an order of today?
Not at this time. I think Cody's doing very well.
Okay. Thank you, Your Honor. I have nothing further.
Ms. Acosta, do you have questions for Ms. Lewis?
Just briefly, Judge. Ms. Lewis, Cody's the happiest we've seen in quite some time. Is that correct?
Yes.
And doing incredibly well.
Yes.
Okay. And with regard to the orthodontist appointment, the braces were supposed to, the whole process was supposed to start about a year ago, correct?
Yes.
And originally the mother had said that she would be paying for the braces. Is that correct?
Yes, I believe so.
And that never happened, did it?
No.
Okay. So now Belong is going through Medicaid for the braces. Is that correct?
Correct. And I believe it's been approved by Medicaid.
Okay. And is there a time frame within which the appointment should be made?
I would like it made by the end of this month. So I will get with Miss Day, the caregiver, and get that going.
Okay, thank you. And with regard to the medication review, will you be getting those notes and that information and sharing it with the parties?
Yes, I will.
Okay. And is it also a fair statement to say that Cody has goals for past high school and has aspirations already of what they want to do?
Absolutely. I'm really proud of him.
Thank you. I'll pass the witness, Judge.
All right, Mr. Weatherby, I don't know if you are able to access your computer. I'll give you a second to respond if you would like to ask any questions of Ms. Lewis. I don't know the answer to this, and maybe you all do, whether the mother has been in contact with either the department or her lawyer or the ad litem. Do you know, Ms. Kyla Green?
Your Honor, I spoke with Mr. Weatherby yesterday, and there has been minimal contact to my understanding, but not meaningful.
Okay. I will just comment that the mother did appear at one court hearing. It's probably been a couple of years ago even. I don't remember exactly when that was, but she really expressed that she does not like the direction that Cody has chosen to take, and that she has no interest in having contact with him as long as he continues in that vein. So I don't, of course, know what her position would be as to termination of her parental rights. I have a feeling she might not be in favor of that, but I don't, at this point, it doesn't seem like there's a very meaningful relationship between the mother and the child, and nor has there been for, I mean, this case was opened in 2020 and we're now in 24. And so that's a long time for there not to have been any real meaningful relationship. I know that there's been visitation, but it seems like those generally have not gone very well.
Your Honor, if I may, so
Yeah.
this case, I think you're right. It's existed for a long time. There's some, I think, procedural things that the department needs to clear up on what was done and not done from years ago before there can be a final order in this case. And so instead of waiting a full 5 or 6 months before we have another hearing, if it's possible, I think we can get it figured out in the next couple months, and then we would request a sooner setting so that we could have the permanency goal achieved and hopefully get Cody adopted.
Okay, and we can look at that. I don't have any problem with it. I rely on Shara to set my docket, and we can certainly get dates if we need to. Do you, Ms. Acosta, do you have a report on how you think things are going, or anything else to report?
Nothing else really to report. Cody's happier than I've seen in a really long time. I know that Cody wanted to get out of Cedar Crest, did not want to be in that type of environment anymore, and he'd been there for a long time, and it wasn't getting better. So I feel like Cody was getting better, but the situation at the placement wasn't. But this placement is very good for Cody, and he has aspirations, he has goals about where he wants to go to college and what he wants to do with his life. And I think that's amazing, and it's good. And there haven't been any incidents like there had been previously with regard to him harming himself, and which he's made tremendous progress. So I'm really happy. I do want the braces situation to get sorted out. I do know that the contact with the mother, I never really hear that it's positive. But I also don't want to say, well, you can not have contact with this person if that's something that Cody wants to continue doing.
I agree with that. I mean, just jumping in, I think we kind of left it up to Cody, I think, if he doesn't want to visit, then I don't think, that should be forced. But if the visits are positive, or, something that Cody would like, then I don't have any problem with it.
Yes. But that's all. That's the only report
I see Mr. Weatherby now, and so in case we lose you again, Mr. Weatherby, do you have any questions of Ms. Lewis or anything to report? We're talking about the mother and what her intentions are going forward.
Yes, Your Honor. I've been monitoring the audio. I finally figured out how to log on and open I wasn't clicking the recording go ahead button, but I have talked with Ms. Anderwald as recently as or texted as recently as a day ago. She is currently recovering from a stroke and not really able to take care of much business, but is agreeable to termination of her rights. I think that will probably work when the other part of the relinquishment is ready to go. So she didn't feel like she was really able to navigate this kind of thing today. She's still doing a lot of therapy. I don't know much about it, but stroke for a young person sounds bad.
Right.
So, but I've heard everything and don't disagree.
Okay.
With anything particularly, but I think the department wants to make it a clean termination as respects the father, which he filed his relinquishment when the case went to permanent managing conservatorship or before that, but it's just been sitting in the file ever since and hadn't been acted on.
Okay. Okay. And CASA, Ms. Pond, would you like to give a report?
I am so pleased with Cody's progress, but I actually think that Marcus is probably the better person to ask because I haven't been able to go see him in his new placement yet, but Marcus has.
Okay. That's Mr. McNamara.
Yes,
You have-
ma'am.
Would you like to make a report to the court then?
Yes, I saw Lucas and, well, Cody, but should first go by Lucas now, in December. And I was thoroughly pleased by the change I saw just in a few months from the last time I had visited with him. Very personable, very goal-oriented, friendly. And the thing that impressed me the most was just the relationship that she had with Miss Day. They were really bonded. They seemed almost like an older sister and younger sister relationship, but there was boundaries. So I really appreciated that. And while I was there was numerous family members and friends that were there to support them both. So I was extremely pleased.
That's great. So as to dates, I have this set for our next hearing on June 21st at 9:30. I'm trying to kind of look through and see. I don't think I have anything right now set sooner than that, but I mean, I am available in like March or April. I've got, my schedule's pretty wide open, but I don't know. And Miss Greenlee's out of town. So we'll just keep that June date on the books. And then if you all can get something worked out prior to that, contact Miss Greenlee and, I'm willing to do this, as a separate matter. If that works with everybody else's schedule, we can come up with a date, I'm sure, in April or May or March or April if you all can get everything done. It's positive to hear that Miss Anderwall seems to be in favor of the termination piece of it. And so I agree with Miss Kyler Green that if we do this, it needs to be done correctly in a legally correct way. So hopefully you all can get that all straightened out. So does anybody else have anything to add at this point? All right, then the court will find that the current placement for Cody is in his best interest and will continue that placement. And court will find that it's not in his best interest to be returned to either parent at this time. The court approves the permanency goal of adoption and approves the department's plan going forward with that. I had ordered the case to mediation, may not need a mediation if you all can handle this, through other means. Obviously, if you feel like you do need mediation, that can still, we can still have that order is still standing if you need it for some reason. Again, as I said, we'll have the hearing on June 21st at 9:30, unless you all are ready earlier. I hope you will be ready earlier. I think that would be great if we could go ahead. I will say that when this case first started, it was one of the most hopeless cases I've had in a long time, over many years of doing this. And so I'm amazed that it's going well. And I realize that the placement hasn't been in place for a really long time, but it has been long enough that it seems very encouraging that that it's going as well as it is. So that's great to know. Are there any other findings I need to make at this point, Ms. Kyla Green?
Your Honor, if you'll make a finding as to the reasonable efforts that have been exercised by Belong to achieve the permanency goal.
Okay, thank you. I forget which ones I'm supposed to make now, but I will find that Belong has made reasonable efforts. In fact, I would say they're almost super heroic efforts to this. Like I said, this case has been really, and so I appreciate the efforts that everybody's made to going forward. Let's see. There's somebody called Memorial that I don't know who that is.
That's my client on the next case, Judge.
Oh, okay. All right. So anything else we need to address at this time?
No, Your Honor, not from the department. Thank you.
All right, then if there's nothing further, then all parties may be excused. As I said, this is a hearing on final hearing on the merits in this case. This is a case out of Kerr County, Texas, being heard today. I'm going to ask for announcements, and we'll start with Mr. McKeska.
Yes, Judge Drake McKeska, attorney for the department. Mr. Tucci.
Alejandra Cerducha, permanency specialist with Belong.
Ashley Crouch, permanency supervisor with Belong.
Kathleen Savage, attorney for the respondent mother, Your Honor. Ready to start, but we will be asking to recess. And my client is here, Ms. Cavanis. Ms. Cavanis, if you can unmute and state your name for the record, please.
Yes, ma'am. This is Sydney Cavanis.
Irene Acosta, attorney for Isaac Hawkins, the father. He's present. We would be having the same announcement as Ms. Savage, Your Honor. Mr. Hawkins, if you can unmute and announce, please.
Yes, Isaac Hawkins.
Thank you, Mr. Hawkins.
You're welcome.
Lucinda Mance. Oh, excuse me. Lucinda Mance for the two children. I'm ready, Judge. Thank you.
Goldie Rabson, Hill Country CASA, guardian ad litem for the children.
Yes, Judge. So after we were able to confer, our request today is for us to go ahead and commence the trial and then recess it. We attended mediation back on December 8th of 2023, and we were able to reach an agreement. And part of that agreement is that both parents agreed to execute and submit voluntary relinquishments. It's my understanding that they've done that, but both of them are currently incarcerated. Several months ago, there was a change to the system for the way that inmates receive mail through TDCJ, and that change has caused significant delays in us being able to provide and then receive back mail from inmates. And it's my understanding both parents have signed their relinquishments, they've sent them back, but we haven't received them yet. And we would like to honor the MSA that we reached back in December. And so my request today would be for us to call witness, start the trial, and then recess to the next conflict docket. And I know that there's a docket on February 16th of 2024 in Kendall County. And so I just request that we set the reset date for that day.
All right. So let me hear announcements from the other attorneys as well. Let's start with the attorneys. Ms. Mance.
Yes, Judge, I'm ready and I'm in agreement with Mr. McKeska's proposal.
All right. All right. And so I'm assuming Ms. Savage and Ms. Acosta, you all are in agreement as well. So what that would mean, in my understanding, is that we would need to call a witness and start with having actual testimony. And so who do you wish to call as your witness, Mr. McKeska?
Yes, Judge, I'd like to call Mr. Tucci. And are you the permanency specialist that is assigned to this case?
Yes,
Okay, and how long have you been the permanency specialist for this case?
since March of 2023.
Okay. And whenever you became the permanency specialist, did you have an opportunity to review the documents and orders and those sorts of things that occurred prior to you becoming the assigned caseworker?
Yes,
Okay. Through that review, were you able to review the documentation regarding why the children were removed?
yes, I was.
Okay, and what is your understanding of why the children were removed?
There was a physical altercation between the mother and the father with the children present. And both were, well, not both children, both the mother and father were injured at the time.
Okay. During the course of this case, we were ordered to attend mediation, correct?
Yes,
Okay, and we attended mediation on December 8th of 2023.
yes,
And during mediation, we were able to reach an agreement. Is that correct?
yes,
Okay. And as part of that agreement, did Ms. Cavness agree to submit a relinquishment of her parental rights to her two children?
yes,
And the department agreed to seek termination based solely off that relinquishment?
yes,
We also agreed that Ms. Cavness will not be responsible for any sort of post-termination child support.
that's correct.
Okay, and that we also agreed that if Ms. Cavness owed any sort of child support during the duration of this case, that would be waived.
That's correct.
Okay, did we also reach the same terms for Mr. Hawkins?
Yes,
Okay, and part of that agreement was an agreement to waive the jury demand in this case.
yes,
And then we also, or the department agreed to make best efforts to pursue adoption with the current placement, the maternal grandparents. Is that correct?
that's correct.
Okay, and the children are currently placed with the maternal grandparents.
Yes,
Do you have any concerns for their placement at this time?
no, none at all.
Okay. Are there any current barriers to the adoption being able to move forward once the trial has been concluded?
No,
Okay. And part of that agreement was also that Ms. Cavness will have an in-person goodbye visit with the children, correct?
yes,
Okay, and that we would facilitate that with her current TDCJ unit?
yes,
Okay, and that we also agree that Ms. Cavness will have virtual visits every other week leading up to the adoption. Is that correct?
that's correct.
Okay. Do you believe that the mediated settlement agreement that we reached was in the best interest of the children?
Yes, I do.
Do you continue to believe that's in the best interest of the children?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Judge, I believe that's more than enough testimony to get us started and have commenced the trial.
All right. Any objections to the court recessing the trial at this
No
time?
objection, Judge.
No,
No
Your Honor.
objection, Your Honor.
All right, the court will find that this case was duly and properly called before the court, that announcements were made, and that testimony commenced in this case by significant testimony by Ms. Zertucci, who's the primary belonged caseworker. The parties have agreed to recess this case to February 16th. That will be at 10 o'clock. We will continue the testimony and trial proceedings at that time. And also the court will find that it's in the children's best interest to continue their current placement pending any further orders of the court, and that this current placement is in the best interest of both children. The court will also admonish the parents that you are on notice that we will be continuing this case on February 16th. So I'm requiring that you all should appear in that at that date, just as you are today. Do you both understand that? You can nod if you understand. Okay. All right. Any other questions that anyone has before we recess for today?
No, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
All right. All right. Then if there's nothing further, then all parties may be in recess. And you all may be excused. I'd ask
Thank you.
I'd ask Judge Falkenberg to stay on for just a minute after we.